You're in the right place. Online, on the web, and on air. All over the world.
Yeah, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the KTPF Community Talk Show.
Talk radio.
Where everyone and everything is as friendly as we can be. Yeah, definitely.
You hear us, we hear you.
Well, tonight, I'm not sure who we've got in the chat room, but Doc's in. So I'm sure hopefully we'll get some more viewers. There has been a little bit of stuff going on the Facebook page of late, but the best news is that the baby's born. Yes. And finally, he's got a name. And I can't remember what his name was. George Alexander Lewis. That was it. Yeah, I don't know. Don't know where Lewis come from.
Probably us out of the family.
Maybe, yeah. So,
I'm just eating my blue ribbon, just melted.
You're eating your blue ribbon. Did you bring me one up?
No.
All right.
I just remembered it.
And from now on, he'll be known as His Royal Highness Prince George of Cambridge. So everyone was in London waiting for the arrival, weren't they?
Yeah,
and
well, whether you're happy about the royals or not, you've got to be happy that the baby was born healthy, haven't you?
well, this is it, yeah. So, you know.
You're being distracted.
Yeah.
Who's distracting you?
So, Janice.
All right.
But I don't know. So, as I say, a lot's gone on this week, mainly in America.
Go on.
So, I've had a lot of buzzing going on around FB.
Oh, about that film?
About the film, The Conjurer, or The Conjuring. Apparently, it's
right scary.
It's right scary, and it's record-breaking. It's opened up in America at the weekend.
Is that the one Tammy from Ohio was talking about?
Yep, and it conjured up at the weekend $41.9 million in its first opening.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's broke records for the largest opening for an original horror film.
That's the one about with that couple, isn't it? I can't remember what they're called now.
Yep. The Warner Brothers, it's also broke records for being Warner Brothers' largest 3-day opening for a horror film, and the largest opening for director John Wan, who created the Saw franchise. Now, The Conjurer has in addition earned an A cinema score, whatever that is over in America, one of our 3 horror movies in the last 10 years to earn such a high mark for moviegoers, with no horror movie ever receiving a higher grade. It's based on the true life story, telling the tale of how world-renowned paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren were called upon to help a family terrorized by a dark presence in a secluded farmhouse, forced to confront a powerful demonic entity, and the Warrens find themselves caught in the most horrifying case of their lives. It's from New Line Cinema, which comes a feature film drawn from the case files of the married demonologist Ed and Lorraine Warren. You can see clips of it on our trailer thing. It's been on there for quite a few weeks now. And it's got Vera Farmiga, if that's how you spell it. She was also in Up in the Air TV, and also TV's Bates Motel, which is coming to Sky soon. And Patrick Wilson from Insidious as the Warrens, and Ron Livingston from The Odd Life of Timothy Green, and Lily Taylor from TV's Hemlock Grove as Roger and Caroline Peron, residents of the house, along with many other stars and newcomers. it's definitely a good film because everyone's been buzzing about it on Facebook. They've seen it and it looks good and blah 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 and this that and the other, you know. But we're just waiting for it to come to England now. I'm not sure when it's actually in England.
Well, Doc just said he met Ed and Lorraine about 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Evening, Debs.
So, well, evening, Debbie.
What was your opinion of them, John? Because we hear so many of these things, and unless you actually meet these people, you never really know what they're like, do you?
No, this is it.
They are legit, he said. Cool.
They are legit.
I'm actually glad of that because
yeah,
especially being as well known as they are.
Mm-hmm.
If they turned out not to be legit, it could be a big dent in things, wouldn't it?
Well, this is it. Well, according to this, it's coming to the UK on the 2nd of the 8th is the release date.
2nd of August.
2nd of August. That's when it's coming to England. So
I'm surprised they didn't do a world premiere on it.
No, this is it. Well,
because it will be online somewhere.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, apparently, as I say, it is based on a true story. And obviously, you got the real life family.
Deb's missed the first bit. She wants to know what's coming.
The Conjuring we're talking about, Debs. Everyone's buzzing about it on Facebook, and they've already seen it in America.
Yeah.
And we've just been saying that it's broke the box office for the largest opening for an original horror film, with 4 to 1.9 million over the weekend in America. It's also broke the record for Warner Brothers' largest 3-day opening for a horror film, and the largest opening from director James Wan, who created the Saw franchise. So it looks really interesting, and as I say, it is based on a true story, which a lot of them are coming out like that now. That Molly Crow, that was based on a true story as well.
Jones just said it was really intense. Even he was like, wow.
Yeah, but it says here, but how much of the paranormal truth does the film handle? Conjurer depicts the 18th century farmhouse of Rhode Island, where Roger and Carolyn Perron, and their 5 daughters allegedly were terrified and even possessed by spirits. And Ed Warren, who died in 2006, but Lorraine, now 86, was a consultant on the film and remains a paranormal investigator. She insists that many of the movie's harrowing moments actually happened. The things that went on there were just so incredibly frightening, she says, citing her own investigation nearly 40 years ago. It still affects me to talk about it today. And neurologist Stephen Novella, president of the New England Skeptical Society, who has investigated the Warrens in the past, is far from convinced. He said the Warrens are good at telling ghost stories, says Novella, of the couple who were also involved in the paranormal story that was made into a 1979 film, The Amityville Horror. You could do a lot of movies based on the stories they have spun, but there's absolutely no reason to believe there is any legitimacy to them. Well, you can find out for yourself. As I say, it's coming to the UK shores at the box office round about the 2nd of August.
Isn't Molly Crow's already out?
I think Molly Crow's already out. I'm not sure when that actually comes out, or whether it already is.
Well, what I've got here is March. This was updated. So.
Yeah, as I say, I know it has been out. So, but that was also a true story as well.
Maybe Debs is waiting for the DVD.
The DVD.
Are you waiting for the DVD? As the missus calls it.
The DVD. So yeah, I'll tell you what I did find that's out on DVD now. That my Amityville Horror. If you haven't seen it, it's been re-released. Please bear with me. I'm looking for my.
It's in the box.
Yeah, I have to get it out because I'm putting.
You mean the
my Amityville thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come out.
Yeah, the documentary what's the name with Defoe? Danny Defoe, was it?
Yes. I think it's Danny.
Yeah, I watched it the other day, and there's a lot of talking in it. It is quite interesting.
Well, you don't expect to see anything else.
Yeah.
Apart from
What?
talking.
Not seen it advertised at the cinema. What's that? What haven't you seen?
Molly
Must have
Crows.
missed it but we'll get it when out in Blu-ray. What are you on about?
Molly Crows, woman.
Molly Crows. Oh,
Yes,
right.
Molly Crows.
Molly Crows.
I'm
So-
trying to check around to see if this is actually going to give me a date it was released.
Yeah,
I'm
Molly
not-
Crows.
I'm not finding it.
I'm going to look for myself here. Look. Let me just check. Yeah, well, when did it come out? It's not telling me.
It's not telling me either.
No. God, it's not telling me at all. No. I don't know when it came out.
It's talking about a release date for this.
I
It's
know.
not telling us.
UK film, Horror Bug. Let's have a look on there. So, 2013.
You can watch the movie stream online.
Can you?
Yeah.
Oh.
You can watch it online.
Oh,
on the
there you
stream.
go. So,
If you're interested, that's watch movie streaming updates.blogspot.com. You'll
So
find
yeah,
on
it
there.
did come out. I remember it coming out. I remember mentioning it. But
I think JW actually got it,
can't remember.
but I'm sure he will tell us.
But I don't know.
Hope
But
to-
anyway, Conjurer. It looks really good, and if it's as frightening as the Americans say, then I'm sure when it hits our shores, it's going to be
Would you like to get back up again? Turn the light on.
yeah,
It
all right
looks a
then.
bit dark in here.
It's getting a bit dark.
Bit dark.
So how's the weather been at your place? Have you been enjoying the heat? Or are you waiting for this rain to come back again? God, that was a big thunderclap the other morning, wasn't it?
It woke me up.
I know it did. Roxy decided she wanted to go out
Well-
at 6 o'clock.
You know what it reminded me of?
What?
The bomb that when Manchester got blown up,
Oh, yes.
didn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we were living not far from here then, and the windows shook.
Well, Roxy, my dog, decided she wanted to get up to go to the toilet at 6 o'clock in the morning. I thought, oh, you're a pain. So I went downstairs.
Is that the clean version?
Yeah. I went downstairs and I opened the back door and I left her to it and I came back upstairs in my half asleep state. And by 6:15, in the
Bang.
words of Garth Brooks, the thunder rolled. The thunder started rolling, and I kept counting the lightning. You know when they say you count lightning, when the lightning strikes, you count to see how far away it is. I did that, and then all of a sudden it got to 3 miles, and then all of a sudden you had boom, bang, a bang.
Lulu's in the house.
I must admit, I did go downstairs first to shut the doors because it was raining cats and dogs.
And you closed all the curtains so the lightning couldn't get through to anything.
Yep, and came back upstairs, and then all of a sudden I was just about to drop back off again, and this big bang came. We missed it. We were in Scotland, had a few rumbles Tuesday morning, but not for long. Well, they reckon it's coming back, don't they?
When's it?
It threatened to rain today. It went all
Tomorrow
a
and
bit
Friday,
dark.
isn't it?
Yeah.
We're going to get some.
So we'll see what
You're meant
happens.
to have, according to the forecast, which is normally wrong anyway.
Mhm.
You're meant to have. Was it rain today?
Mhm.
All right tomorrow,
Mhm.
and then Friday's going to be big thunderstorms again.
Yeah. So, but
Whereabouts
as I
in
say,
Scotland was you, Debs?
Yeah, whereabouts in Scotland?
It didn't clear it much here. It was still bloody hot, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is it. So, but I don't know.
Shall I do some of these observations? I have a
Oh
few.
dear.
Yes. Shall I do
Yeah,
some
go on then. Do
observations?
your observations because we've got a cracking. Let me just tell them that we've got a cracking guy on in a moment. We're going to be calling Nick Redfern up in Dallas.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah, so I'm
No,
going
I
to have
didn't
to
mean
find
that,
his
I do apologise. I mean, where she was.
right. Okay, I got to find his number. So you do the things, and I'll find his number ready.
Okie dokie. Yes, we have to ring America. Right, here we go. This first one is from a website called Phantoms and Monsters. While driving one late evening in a national park in Southern California, in our Jeep, my wife and I noticed what appeared to be a wildfire boarding the perimeter of a small mountain. It was possibly half a mile long and not very deep, and the vegetation in the desert is not dense. We instantly tried to call 911 to advise them of the situation, but could not make any connection. The area is heavily mineralized with large iron deposits, possibly causing interference. To our amazement, as we watched, the fire suddenly spontaneously went out. We then realized that what we had seen was no fire, but the lights within the opening of an immense ship. Haha, immense, about the size of a mountain. The lights have been similar to the red lights from the Navy pilots are exposed to at night before they've gone to their planes to be accustomed to the dark. This may point to the government underground installation rather than an alien structure, but I don't know, he says. We were stunned and sat there several seconds. Then we decided it was time to leave. We travelled further into the desert. We found a place to make a U-turn. And as we straightened out from the U-turn, we were suddenly lit up from directly above us with a light that resembled a police helicopter, light but brighter and much more intense. The craft from which the light emitted was never visible to me, and it made an absolute no sound of any kind, nor did it produce turbulence that disturbed the bushes or raised the dust, although the aircraft could not have been more than 75 to 100 feet off the ground. Oh. Hey, he said, if you had no fear, emotion, and curiosity, I put the jeep in park and stepped out to examine the craft more closely, and the instant I was outside the jeep, however, the craft sped off at an amazing rate of speed and vanished. Just after the craft appeared, we saw three lights approaching from behind. By now we had grown nervous and fled. The absurdity of fleeing a craft presumably capable of hyperluminal speeds in a jeep streaking along at 20 miles an hour didn't occur to us. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Trying to outrun a ship that can travel through space in a jeep doing 20. We never saw the body of the aircraft or the first one, just the lights. Although equally strange events have occurred in the region, so much that we now have ceased going there. I have not provided more specific indications of the area's location on purpose, as I believe it to be a dangerous area. The day after the incident, my wife noticed a small spot of blood on my pillow. Upon a closer examination, discovered an equally small puncture wound behind my right ear. Now, was that connected, we ask ourselves?
Don't know.
The article did the person who runs it didn't actually say where we thought it was, but I decided not to put it in. Neural dust could give us artificial telepathy and telekinesis.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes. As science and technology continues to converge, it's becoming clear that the so-called singularity will likely be led by augmented humans rather than artificial intelligence housed in robots. Yet another sign that this forthcoming man-machine hybrid is set to gain more traction is now as a new idea involving a brain-machine interface, BMI. The researchers at the University of California in Berkeley have said this. The system, as envisaged, would rely on thousands of devices called neural dust, tiny chips that would function as ultrasound nodes, delivering neural information aided by a subdermal transceiver located just below the skull, an external receiver with long-range transmission capability. They're turning us into robots.
Are they?
Sounds like it, doesn't it?
Definitely.
But while the external transceiver can be modified and have its battery changed, one challenge for such a system lies in the inability to easily upgrade the implants. Nevertheless, with such a system in place, it would suddenly become easy to imagine artificial telepathy between two people. I can see that. I can see where they're going with that. I don't see why they'd want to do it, but I can see where they're going. Can you? I mean, wouldn't it be easier contacting somebody that way than trying to make a phone call?
Yes.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's I mean, I can see where they're going, but I don't necessarily think it's a good idea personally. But there you go. Now I'm going to talk about Mr. Uri Geller,
Yeah.
Mr. Spoonbender himself. He
Yeah,
says
he's been a bit of a lad, hasn't
he
he?
says he psyched Russians against nuclear World War III. Showbiz psychic Uri Geller, most famous for bending spoons, has lifted the lid on his secret past as a spy. Laddie machine went too far. Come back. Come back. That's what you get for pushing buttons. There we go. In a new documentary, the 66-year-old has revealed to be a spy, a psychic James Bond who fought the Soviet menace with a hard stare and a drawer full of contorted cutlery. Oh dear.
Okay.
You can tell this was actually in the press, can't you?
Yeah.
Geller has revealed details about working as an operative for both CIA and Israel's feared Mossad agency during the Cold War. The Sun reports.
Oh dear, not the sun.
Which explains the cutlery bit. According to report, Jury's secret past has been revealed in the new BBC 2 documentary, The Secret Life of Uri Geller. Didn't you see that on Sky the other day?
Yeah, there was something about it because there was on about he was
We didn't actually watch it, did we?
No, but he was doing something. Was it he was a spy or something?
Well,
was it?
That's what we're talking about
Yeah,
here.
that's what I mean.
You didn't see look
I
at the
didn't.
program, did you?
No, I didn't look at the
You saw it
program.
come up. The documentary revealed how Geller, who is Israeli born, wiped secret information from KGB spy disk by using his ability and psychically changed the mind of a Soviet nuclear weapons negotiator.
Yeah.
Documentary maker. Are you ready? I'll get some.
Now you're getting the big words.
Vikram Jayanti. I apologise if I said that wrong. Tracked down former CIA officer Kit Green and Apollo 14 astronaut Edgar Mitchell, who both said they had first-hand knowledge of Geller's activities. Geller first became interested in spying when he was growing up in Tel Aviv and Cyprus, and was obsessed with James Bond. Big James Bond fan, Mr. Geller. He said he first came in touch with a spy when the Israeli government used his family's guest house.
Yeah.
He said that the desire to defend his country grew when he was a soldier during the Six-Day War in '67 and was forced to kill a Jordanian soldier. After leaving the army, he became a star in his home country as a spoon-bending tricks and later went to the US and Britain. He added that the confession has caused shock for his wife, Hannah, and children Daniel, 31, and Natalie, 30. They didn't know.
No.
Secrets for the missus. I don't know. You're in trouble. Oh yes. Right. This is where I'm going to get tongue-tied.
Go on then.
Because apparently archaeologists have uncovered King David's 3,000-year-old palace in Israel. The King David.
Oh.
The one that slew the man with the stone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that King David. Two large structures believed to have been part of King David's palace have been unearthed by archaeologists in Jerusalem. Why is it always Jerusalem? It's got to be a very busy place.
Mm-hmm.
Over the past year, archaeologists have excavated the site that they believe to be fortified Judean city of Shariam, that's with two A's, where David smote Goliath as described in the Bible. Two excavators, Professor Yossi Garfinkel of Hebrew University and Sora Ganner, told Fox News that the ruins are the best temple to date of the uncovered fortress of King David. They said that this is indisputable proof of the existence of a central authority in Judah during the time of King David. Garfunkel and Gaynor identified one structure as David's palace and the other as an enormous royal storeroom. They are two largest known buildings to have existed in the 10th century BCE in Jerusalem. Meanwhile, the Israeli Antiquities Authority told the Times of Israel that they are confident the site can be attributed to the time of King David's reign. Hundreds of artifacts, including stone tools, pottery vessels, seals, and religious objects typical of the times, were found on the site. The excavation came to a close on Friday. The two excavators said that the palace that is now being revealed and fortified city that was uncovered in recent years are another tier of understanding beginning the kingdom of Judah. I don't know about you, but I was reading that, and it's great that they're finding these things, but just them names, Garfunkel and Gaynor.
Yeah.
All I could think of was music.
Mm.
But good luck to them. They've King David's palace. Wow.
I must admit, we're doing well here. We learn a bit since we've been doing this, haven't we?
We do indeed.
That's what it's all about.
It is learning. Some of the things we learn about, we go, no, I think that's a lot of rubbish. But
that's what it's all about.
But that's just my opinion, and not
Yeah.
Somebody else is obviously think the opposite.
This is it.
Are you ready with Mr. Nick?
Have you done?
I've got one more.
Oh, go on then.
And it actually refers to Nick.
Does it?
It does. Lake monsters, where are the bodies? Nick Redfern, just the other night, the host of a radio show, asked why, if lake monsters are real, don't we ever find hard, undeniable evidence of their existence? He was, of course, talking about a living specimen or a corpse. Okay, it's a fair question, and many might take the view that the lack of a creature, alive or dead, is suggestive of the whole thing being nothing more than folklore, mythology, legend, hoaxing, and misidentification. Is it right or wrong?
Yeah, let's find out.
We'll have to ask him.
We'll have to ask him.
And I'm asking you. What do you think? Just because we haven't found the actual animal, dead or alive, does that mean that it's folklore? Or somebody misidentifying?
We'll have to find out. Are we ready to find out?
Oh, yes.
Are you ready, guys, for our guest for this evening? Well, Nick Redfern has been on over 70 TV shows, including Sci-Fi's Proof Positive and History Channel's Monster Quest. He's an MIB investigator who are believed to be involved in occult practices, cryptids, and the paranormal in general. And we're going to find out a bit more about Nick, and we're going to contact him, as I said, just find his number, in Dallas, Texas, and hopefully I've got his number here, and it works.
I hope so.
Let me just see what happens.
So, don't forget the first question.
It's ringing. Hello?
Hello?
Hi, Nick. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay, I need to... Right, can everybody hear Nick in the chat room? Can you just say hello to him, Nick?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Oh, you can hear
1,
me?
2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 testing.
So, guys, please that's everything. Right, okay. Right, we've just been doing the observations, Nick, and we came across the post that in... Thank you. That's involved yourself regarding lake monsters. Do you want to... we'll go back to that one in a minute, because we've got a lot to talk to you about, because you actually cover quite a lot, don't you?
Excuse me, yeah, I cover sort of cryptozoology is my main interest, which is I study of unknown animals like Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster, and sort of stranger, more supernatural creatures like Mothman or werewolves and things like that. And the other big interest I have is UFOs. Those are sort of the two main areas, you know, I tend to get involved in as far as sort of paranormal stuff's concerned. I don't sort of cover everything under the sun, you know, like haunted houses or ghosts. I've done a few investigations into those areas, but not many. It's just not sort of, you know, my field. You know, there are other people who've been in those fields far longer than me to suddenly start wading into them, you know. So UFOs and cryptozoology are the main two areas.
Well, now, you've been in America since 2001?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
Yeah. What made you go to America?
Well, actually, I got an offer of a job out there. Although I work as a writer. A lot of people think if you work as a writer, you're sort of living in the Hollywood Hills and driving a Ferrari. It's not like that at all. I mean, I do the job I do because I enjoy it, and I enjoy, the satisfaction I get from working as a writer. But it's not a job I would ever recommend anybody try and do full time. It's sort of a precarious field. And so for that reason, coming back to your question, I branch out and I do a lot of writing, which is nothing to do, paranormal stuff at all. I do tech writing for various companies, like how to sort of diagnose problems with the clutch on your car, that kind of thing. I do that sort of writing.
Right.
And that's what happened with this job. I met a guy when I was working over here. Well, I was actually over at a conference, and he was looking for somebody to do some ghostwriting work for him, which I also do, like ghostwriting for other authors. And he offered me like a 3-year contract, and so I decided to take him up on it because I thought it'd be cool to sort of see a bit more of the world. And then while I was over, applied officially to become a resident and did all the immigration stuff and whatever, and just decided to stay on, when the work was over.
Right. Now, you've made numerous books out of what you've done, over this time. As a journalist, what led you to the UFOs, cryptozoology, and have you seen anything for yourself?
Well, what sort of led me to it was that when I was a kid, I was probably about 6 or 7. My mum and dad took me for a week's holiday to Scotland, and while we were up there, we spent a day at Loch Ness. And of course, as I said, I was only about 6 or 7, but I've still got a few vague memories of my dad telling me the story of the Loch Ness Monster, and that sort of got me interested at that age, not from the scientific angle, but more, wow, it's a monster, that sort of thing. And as I got older, I started reading books on the subject. So the people I got into at that age was like John Keel and Brad Steiger and their types of books. And the more I dug into it, the more interested I got in with things like UFOs and Bigfoot and all that. And then when I finished school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I mean, I wasn't the best student by any stretch of the imagination. When I finished school, this was in sort of days of the old style O-levels and CSEs. I didn't get anything. I was useless at school. I think I walked out with like 3 or 4 old CSEs, which were like grade 4 or grade 5. I was just terrible. And so I didn't know what to do. So I had no college education, no university, just scraped through comprehensive, and that was it. And so, I wasn't really qualified to do much at all, but, when you're sort of thrust into the wide world at 16, you've got to do something. And I went down the job centre one day, and there was an ad for a job working on a magazine where they just wanted to train somebody straight out of school in the field of journalism. And I thought, well, that'd be kind of cool, even though I don't have any qualifications as such, or hardly anything to speak of. And so I went along and amazingly got the job. And I did that for about 2 years, where they taught me in all the different areas of journalism and whatever. And bear in mind, this was sort of during the Thatcher years when, unemployment was massively high. And when the job finished, unfortunately, I just could not get anything else in that field. And so for about the next probably till my late 20s, I worked full-time for a painting and decorating company, and doing everything from like painting and decorating and van driving, forklift work. It was like a big wholesaler's place. And so I did that till my sort of late 20s. But I'd had an interest in, the UFO stuff and cryptozoology going back to when I went to Loch Ness. And when I sort of got into my late 20s, I was in a position where working freelance, which I was doing bits of, and I had the full-time job doing the forklift work. I was able to sort of turn it into a full-time job. And what I decided to do, in answer to your question, was sort of apply regular journalistic techniques, if you like, to investigating all these different things, and sort of research it and write it as I would if I was doing any sort of worked for a newspaper or magazine, on a local murder or a, who knows what, a accident on the M6 or something like that, But as far as Seenham's concerned, I'm still looking. But I mean, for me, when you've got credible witnesses and documents and backup testimony and that sort of thing, that still pushes me on because it makes me realise, that we've got a lot of witnesses. And I always say to people, the witnesses are the most important people because without them, we've got nothing to go on. So, when you've got credible witnesses, it doesn't really matter to me that I haven't seen anything. I'd like to, but the fact that I haven't, that's not the be-all and end of it.
No. So, out of all your books that you've written, because there's quite a few, which one of them are you most proud of?
Really sure, to be honest. It's a good question. Well, I was pleased to be able to get my first book written, The Covert Agenda, which came out in 1997, and because I guess it's like anything in life, when you do it for the first time, it feels like an achievement. So I was pleased to get that one out, and also because it covered the government files angle, which hadn't really been studied at full length, book length in Britain before. This was long before all these files surfaced through the Freedom of Information Act. This was when there were like maybe 800 or 900 pages of documents at the National Archives, which had surfaced through the old 30-year ruling, which predated the Freedom of Information Act. So I'd say that one, and maybe some of the cryptozoology stuff, which sort of details the on-the-road investigations I've done, which we sort of without going on the road, the information wouldn't have surfaced. So, there's all, it's like, I guess, if you're in a band or whatever, or you do, you're a painter or you're an author, there's always some things afterwards you want to change, that you're not happy with. And, but I think that's always the case, so I have some books which I'm proud of, some I wish I'd written in a bit different fashion, but that's life and hindsight,
Yeah, I understand. Now, just before we go into your MIB stuff, I just want to mention that a friend of ours, a mutual friend, Lee Brickley, has obviously brought his first book out, UFOs, Werewolves and the Pigman, and it revolves around Cannock Chase. What's your opinion of Cannock Chase?
Well, I actually grew up only about 5 miles from Cannock Chase, and it's a fascinating area because I first sort of learned about all the weirdness when I worked for this painting and decorating company. Because although I'd grown up in the area, it was just, for me, as a kid, it was just like, it's a cool looking bit of forest, it's like all forests are, it's sort of spooky and cool looking. But when I started working for this painting and decorating company, most days on my van deliveries, I used to have to deliver over to the Cannock Chase. And over the time, I'd get speaking to some of the people I'd delivered to, and this included like some of the local newspapers, if they were doing up their offices and they wanted paint and whatever. And, I'd hear stories about people seeing big cats on the chase and like ghostly black dogs and UFO sightings. And this would have been sort of mid to late 1980s. This would have been about 86 to about 91, something like that. And the more I looked into it, because I had this interest, the more I found there was a lot of weird stuff going on the chase. And I mean, over time, I've probably spent weeks, investigating Cannock Chase-based stories, and probably written, over the course of perhaps 5 or 6 books, I've probably written a book-length worth of stuff on the chase. I've actually got a new book out this week. It's called Mystery Animals at the British Isles, subtitled Staffordshire, and a lot of it covers Cannock Chase. And so, when you've got so much weirdness all focused on one area, I tend to conclude that, like a lot of places around the world, Cannock Chase is what's become known as like a window area, where maybe there are like sort of portals or gateways to other realms or dimensions where these things come through, and maybe these portals are static in certain areas, like possibly the Chase, and that's why you have one sort of specific area that is just sort of so dominated and focused on by a whole range of weirdness. It's one thing to see big cats on the Chase, but when you've got, like Lee points out, werewolves, and you've got Bigfoot, and you've got UFOs, clearly, for me at least, you can't have all all of this in one area and it all be just flesh and blood and normal animals or unknown animals, just running around in this one area of forest. There's got to be something, to me at least, like more supernatural to it all, I think.
Right. Now, you've recently come back from this 2-year exploration that you've done, I believe. Transatlantic hunt. Am I right?
Oh. Well, yeah, I mean, this is something, I wouldn't say it wasn't like a non-stop 2-year investigation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, with my cryptozoology books, I tend to write them as the investigation goes on, so it's like they're written in diary fashion. And, being in the US, I do a lot of crypto stuff over here, but I get back to England, as often as I can and do a lot there. So the most recent book I had out on this whole subject was called Monster Diary, which covered sort of pretty much 2009 through 2011 of all the stuff I'd done on both sides of the Atlantic. And as I said, I sort of write it in that diary on the road format. So that's the one you're talking about.
Yeah. And did you find anything there? You were looking for all sorts, Bigfoot, werewolves.
Yeah.
Basically. Pardon?
Yeah, I basically sort of investigated whatever crossed my path, from the eyewitnesses. And I mean, the English stuff was interesting because there are a lot of stories that people probably won't know about. I mean, around Birmingham, where I grew up, Birmingham has a very large and extensive, a very old canal system. And over the years, there have been a lot of reports of people seeing what sound suspiciously like giant eels in the canal. I mean, I'm talking about eels like 15 feet long, giant things.
Yeah.
Now, eels normally you can see them to the length of 10 feet occasionally, but 15 feet is pretty much unheard of. And yet people reported seeing these. And so I spent a lot of time interviewing people all around Birmingham who'd had these sightings, like lorry drivers and, people who were sort of on factory estates, that backed up to the canal and had seen some of these things. And but one of the weirdest things is that in the same stretch of canal where these eels were supposedly seen, back in 2003, a dead python about 10 feet long was hauled out of the canal. You can actually find that story on the internet.
Right.
And so this sort of given rise, are there eels on the loose, or are people mistaking colonies of pythons? And if there are pythons running, swimming and roaming around Birmingham, where do they come from? So often, these mysteries, they start off like a cryptozoological mystery, then they become more a zoological puzzle, if you like. But that was sort of one of the strangest ones, to find these stories almost on your doorstep of these giant eels roaming around good old Brum, so to speak.
Right. Now, as I say, you are an MIB investigator. What is an MIB investigator? We've seen the films. Yeah. We've seen Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. What is an MIB investigator?
Well, basically, an MIB investigator is someone who investigates reports of real men in black. Now, the movies, the films with Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith, they were actually based on a comic book franchise. And the comic books were based on real-life reports of people who claimed to have seen the men in black. So, in other words, it wasn't, as a lot of people think, just dreamed up by Hollywood. Hollywood just picked up on the idea from the comics, and the comics were based on the real reports. Now, the big difference between the films and the real life reports is that, in the films, Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones, they work for this super secret government agency that runs around silencing people who've had UFO encounters or, wiping out their memories clean. And they work for this big agency that no one can identify. But when you study and investigate the real MIB reports and speak to the witnesses, the real image of what these people or things sound like is nothing like the films. I mean, most of the men in black, they're described as only being like about 5 feet tall to maybe 5'5". They've got sort of really pale skin, skin the colour of like a bottle of milk or whatever. They look anemic and they look a cross between like anemic and anorexic. And they often have sort of a lot of paranormal overtones to them, like with vampires. The vampire legends.
Yeah.
Vampires can't come into your house until you invite them in. The men in black don't, as a lot of people think, force their way into your house to silence you. They stand on the doorstep waiting to be invited. A lot of people who've had MIB encounters, after the MIB have gone, they've reported like violent poltergeist activity in the home. And there are other cases where people have felt they've been drained of energy by these MIB, almost as if they're like a psychic vampire or something like that. Instead of bleeding you dry of blood, they sort of bleed you dry of energy. So this leads me to believe that although there's clearly somewhere a connection with UFOs, I think the MIB have like occult origins, supernatural origins. I don't think, that. Granted, there are some cases, particularly back in the 50s and 60s, where government people dressed in black suits and ties and old-style hats. That was the fashion. So I think some cases can be explained as government investigations, but the majority, they're far more sort of creepy and, as I said, almost like a cult rather than, ufological or whatever.
Do you think the films were done to introduce the world to them?
No, personally, I think it was due to the fact that Hollywood is good at jumping on the bandwagon and picking up on what people like. It's kind of like with zombie films today. I mean, people say, oh, they're making all these zombie films to prepare us for a real zombie apocalypse. I think it's more likely that film producers and companies realize that films about zombies and viruses and end of the world sell. So they jump on the market while it's big, and then when it drops off, they jump onto whatever's next,
Yeah. Would you say that every country has its own MIB, or is it a worldwide thing?
That's actually a good question, because a lot of people assume, it's just American or Europe. It's actually not. I mean, I've got reports from. I'll give you a good example. I've been on a number of expeditions to Puerto Rico looking for the chupacabra, this sort of vampire-type creature that's been reported from there for years.
Yeah.
When I went on one of the occasions in 2005, I spoke to a pig farmer named Antonio, whose animals had been attacked one night by what he believed was a chupacabra. And he told me how, we had a translator when I was there, because he didn't speak English, but the translator explained how Antonio had reported that the next morning, these two people turned up on his doorstep, and one was a man dressed in a black suit and tie, and the other one was a woman dressed in like a black business suit. And although they looked more human-like, they both had this sort of really pale white skin. Now, me coming from England and going to Puerto Rico, stepping off the plane into like 110-degree heat, it nearly knocks you out.
Yeah.
And the idea that, you would have these two, or an MIB and a WIB, a woman in black, roaming around Puerto Rico in suits in the middle of a Puerto Rican summer, it just sounds bizarre. But everything like that is bizarre about the men in black. And so that's one case, from Puerto Rico. I've got reports from Mexico, Australia, mainland Europe, Canada, I mean, all over the place. The thing is, of course, where there's less, particularly in the past, before the internet and whatever, when there wasn't that much chance of getting the word out and it's spreading from one country to another, a lot of people just didn't hear about the reports, from deep in Puerto Rico or Mexico. So they assumed it was more just America or Britain, because that's where all the UFO magazines are coming from. But, the more today, with the internet, of course, we can see that these reports are actually worldwide.
Is there a possibility, do you think, that there could be off-planet organisations? In which case, could it be their ships that we are seeing in the sky, when people see UFOs?
You mean something that's like a secret military space program, you mean?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Or could it be ETs themselves? You know what I mean? So, what's your theory on that?
Well, yeah, I actually think that, if we ever get the truth about UFOs, I think it's not going to be one thing. There's often this tendency where people think UFOs are this or that. I don't. I think there's several things going on. I think, there's no doubt in my mind that, there's a genuine UFO phenomenon from somewhere else, which is nothing to do with us at all, but it's probably been with us for a long, long time, and it interacts with us, and sometimes in a friendly way, sometimes in a not so friendly way, but it's from somewhere else. Now, whether it's literally extraterrestrial or interdimensional or multi-dimensional, or maybe they're all a combination of the three. I don't know, but it's from somewhere else. But in saying that, I also think that some UFOs are military vehicles or aircraft that that are still on the secret list and that look weird and that get misinterpreted as UFOs. It's like all these drones, that are flying around where governments just flagrantly trying to turn the planet into like 1984. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, if people hadn't heard stories about these drones and seen pictures of them in newspapers or on the net or whatever, if you were to see one of them at a distance, you would think, wow, I've just seen a UFO. And I think sometimes the UFO subject has been used as like a convenient cover for military agencies to test fly things because they know if people see them, they're going to be reported as little green men. So, and people will laugh at it and dismiss it. So I think we've got at least two things going on. We've got a genuine phenomenon of unknown origins, but we've also got the fact that we're developing, as our technology advances, really weird-looking stuff as well.
Now, you mentioned black-eyed people, yeah, briefly. Now, could there be a connection between the MIB and these black-eyed people? Could this be where we get the idea from, that they're demons with black eyes?
Yeah, well, a friend of mine, David Weatherly, actually wrote a really good book on this called Black-Eyed Children.
Yeah.
I wrote the introduction for this one, or the foreword, one of the two, I forget now. And anyway, but David's book, if you want to read, sort of the definitive book, Black-Eyed Children, is a really good one because he covers all the different angles, including like hybrid children. For people who aren't aware of it, I should just backtrack that black-eyed people have been reported, but mainly it's black-eyed children where they look kind of creepy. They look sort of like a cross between an alien and Damien from the Omen movies. They're sort of like sinister and pale again, but they have these jet black eyes. Not like, I don't mean just jet black pupils. I mean the entire eye, including the white of the eye, is black as well, and so they look strange. And they actually do, as David points out in his book, they have a lot of parallels with the Men in Black in the sense that they knock on the door and ask to come in, and if you don't invite them in, they don't step over the threshold, so to speak. They often come in twos or threes, which is just like the Men in Black, which usually come in threes. And they often appear late at night, which is just like the Men in Black. And the people who see them, they get this weird vibe from them, like an unsettling feeling. We've all met someone who you've never met before. You get kind of a creepy feeling from them. There's something not right about them.
Yeah.
And everybody gets that with the black-eyed children. So some people, do think that they're somehow directly connected. Other people take the view, could they be like alien human hybrids that are trying to infiltrate us in literally like a sinister takeover type fashion, work their way into society bit by bit until it's too late, Other people take the view that they are like literally demonic, sort of horns, forked tail demonic, I mean. So we really don't know, but there's no doubt that, there are 5 or 6 parallels with the Men in Black reports. And what's interesting is that in the same way that the Men in Black usually always turn up wearing old-style 50s hats like trilbies and fedoras, the black-eyed children nearly always have hoodies on.
Yeah.
So, there's that angle as well, that they always keep their heads covered, which is kind of strange.
So, are all the MIBs, are they trying to stop us, or are some trying to help us by giving us info?
Well, most of the reports I get, and I get a lot of reports even now. I think the most recent one I got was it dated at least from, I think it was either September or October of last year. So that's, how often they're going on. And I probably get at least 4 or 5 reports a month where people have said, hey, I read your book and, I wanted to tell you this. And, they might want to relate a case from the 60s or the 70s or the 80s. But the amount of reports is huge. Now, most of the reports are pretty much negative in the sense that, I've never actually come across a case where a person has, literally been physically attacked. It's more like a mental attack or, just giving vague warnings that can be open to interpretation, kind of like they'll say, they'll ask a question about the UFO that the witness saw, and then they'll say something like, "Have you had the tires on your car checked lately?" That kind of thing, as if it's like a veiled warning.
Yeah.
Now, in some cases, people have actually talked about like a positive response where, the MIB have turned up and given them information and shared it with them, which is kind of confusing because it suggests that maybe there are maybe two different groups of MIB and they're sort of possibly rivals and competing with each other, one trying to help us and one that wants to keep us away from the subject. So, but that wouldn't surprise me because, we humans, we have different motivations. We're not all driven by the same thing, so maybe there's something there. But the only thing I would say is that the positive reports are sort of far outweighed by the negative ones,
Yeah. Now, it's been a long-standing and acknowledged fact that US intelligence has spent a lot of time delving into the remote viewing, or what might be termed psychic spying. Could the fact that the MIB don't seem right? I can't read your writing now. Hold on a minute. I'm reading somebody else's.
Could it actually be someone that's astral projecting?
There you go.
Yeah, that's an interesting argument because a number of witnesses who have, said the MIB came into their homes, they've said it occurred in almost like a weird dream-like state, where they felt that the MIB weren't actually physical creatures or beings. They were more like a projection in the room. And the best way I can describe it is that the witnesses felt they were almost like in a situation, like in the Matrix films, where we're all living in this sort of highly sophisticated computer program. We live in a dream world where reality isn't what we think it is. In the films, everybody's hooked up to these pods, where we're basically being bled of electricity to feed the machines, but we think we're living in the 20th or 21st century, but it's all a dream. And a number of people have claimed that that's how their MIB experiences seem, that the MIB, they're not even sure that they're there, or they're almost like a sophisticated hologram or something like that. That's almost as if something, has been inserted into the program, like your computer finds a Trojan and it worms its way in, to fix the problem. Some people think the MIB are like that if when we get too close to the truth, that this huge program that, controls the UFO phenomenon, lets loose the MIB, which are the equivalent of like Norton antivirus, but instead of performing a positive task to repair your computer and clean it, their task is to warn and keep the witnesses away for something that has, they found a glitch in the Matrix and they don't want us to know about that glitch, so to speak.
Right.
That's kind of like that.
Yeah, she still don't read my writing, Nick. Of all the research done, how do you discern what is true from what we are being told? And do you think the government is still holding back info that they should have already released?
Well, I think when people talk about the government, it always sort of implies this one big unified group, and that isn't really how governments work. There are different agencies, and there are think tanks within agencies, and there are little projects within think tanks, And so when, for example, you might get a statement from the Ministry of Defence saying, we've released all our UFO files, for example, like with the recent release of documents, I actually don't think necessarily that agency or that body in particular is lying. What I think is that the really deep secrets about UFOs are probably hidden by agencies that are buried so deeply, these so-called black projects and black programs that get their funding, through alternative and unofficial trains, so to speak. And so, in other words, elected members of government and even people in Parliament may not have a clue, what's going on way deep down in the intelligence services. So, when a statement comes out of government saying, hey, we looked for all our files, like for example, on Rendlesham, and we don't really have anything other than a few letters and cut-ins and whatever, I don't think they're lying. I think somebody else deep in the system is sitting on that Rendlesham file. Rendlesham's one of Britain's most significant cases, if not the most significant. But if you look at the file that the government's declassified, there's no smoking guns in there. There's nothing all about the bigger picture about the UFOs coming down and people reporting seeing strange creatures and being interrogated and hypnotized by military personnel. There's none of that. So clearly, that file has got to be somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I truthfully don't think it's being hidden by the publicly acknowledged UFO office, the one that Nick Pope worked in. I just think that office never got to see the really classified material, and that's the problem, is knowing where to find it. So that's the one angle, the government issue. And I think in terms of what we can believe and how much we can believe, I think there's no doubt that a lot of the government documents that have surfaced through the Freedom of Information Act, are really, it's good material, where it talks about pilot encounters, and then we can track down the pilot, and they say, well, yeah, this document, it tells the story correctly. So we know that a lot of good material has surfaced, but it's still the tip of the iceberg. So, and I think sometimes, when disinformation's put out, that works well, and it pushes us, unfortunately, down paths where we think we're on the right track, but all it's really doing is tying us up for years and keeping us away from the good material. So that's sort of an unfortunate thing, which from our perspective works, in government favour sometimes.
Right, we've got a question in the chat room for you. Okay. We've been asked by Ashley, do you believe that some people who are born here on Earth could feel they do not feel at home here and are in fact from somewhere within our vast universe?
Well, I mean, I've actually spoken to a lot of people who feel that, that they are tied to the UFO phenomenon. Not so much that they come from here, but I've spoken to a lot of people who believe they are sort of like hybrids, or they've been given a mission here on Earth. Basically from birth, it's been programmed into them at some point in the future. They'll be sort of switched on, so to speak, to perform a specific task. So in that sense, as I said, I haven't really come across anyone who thinks they were from somewhere else, but definitely people who feel their lives have been tampered with or manipulated, sometimes positively, sometimes not, but by entities from somewhere else. And, I mean, I've experienced things like this sometimes. I get a lot of some sort of very weird synchronicities where you do feel, your life in some respects is being guided to sort of meet certain people, or, I mean, this has happened to me a number of times where I've been, looking for something, a bit of information that I'm working on that was maybe mentioned in an old 60-year-old book, which, is very rare. You can't find it. And then, just a few days later, I'll be wandering around an old bookshop and just happen to glance up and there's the book on the shelf, Things like that have happened a lot, and a lot of people in the UFO field do experience those kind of things, but many of them don't like to talk about it because it sort of takes it away from just the nuts and bolts angle, which a lot of people focus on. Now, for me, I think the UFO phenomenon goes far beyond that. It goes into, it does go, I think, into paranormal areas, occult areas, and, it goes far beyond just nuts and bolts astronauts coming from some other world. It's much stranger. So, I think that possibly explains these interactions that go back to birth or throughout people's lives. That I think something is using us for whatever reasons, but the big question is why. What's going to be the end result?
He also asked what your views are on remote viewing.
Oh, well, I think remote viewing is a genuine phenomenon. I think at some point in their lives, everybody has like a weird psychic thing happen to them. Whether it's just thinking about somebody who you haven't seen since school, and then they have to phone you up. Everybody's had something like that, where it's like your mind has put the thought out into the supernatural airwaves or whatever, and it's been unconsciously picked up and by the other person, and then lo and behold, they call you up after 15 years. I'm not thinking about it, and then they call you the same day or whatever. A lot of people have experienced that. What I think a lot of remote viewing research tells us is not only does it work, but sometimes, unfortunately, it doesn't work all the while. And that was one of the big issues with a lot of the US government remote viewing programs. you can see from the files that it was clear that a lot of success was had. But the problem was it couldn't be guaranteed 100% of the time. You know, it's like a spy satellite spying on the Kremlin or something. You know, that camera or whatever works all the time and focuses on or the military base that it's spying on. Remote viewing, you know, it would have its successes and its misses, but the remote viewers couldn't always control when it would work and when it wouldn't. And I think that was seen as like, well, yeah, we'll use it, but we're not going to make it the be-all and end-all of everything because, you know, there are these misses as well. And the remote viewers themselves admitted they didn't know why. Sometimes it would work really well. You know, it was almost like a psychic writer's block or something like that. But when it works really well. I think the key is knowing whether or not all of us can actually do that. I actually think we probably can. It's probably sort of latently buried inside all of us. And most of the time, it just surfaces by accident, and occasionally we experience like a psychic link with someone. But if all of us could learn how to do it, you know, like the remote viewers can, then, you know, it probably changed the planet overnight, you know what I mean?
Right. What other question?
It's been said that the Americans in particular have been reverse engineering from crash ships and things. In your opinion, what have we learned, if anything?
Well, you know, I mean, that's sort of an intriguing area of research. The idea that if UFOs have crashed, then obviously the technology isn't just going to be stored away in a museum. People are going to want to study it and capitalize on it and try and learn from it and then replicate it, you know, which is the whole idea of the thrust behind back engineering. You know, it's kind of like in the 50s if a Russian spy plane crashed in, I don't know, Scotland, and, you know, the Ministry of Defence recovered it. They wouldn't just store it away. They'd study it from tail to nose, you know, and figure out how advanced the technology was against ours. Now, you know, if you've got your hands on a Russian aircraft, that's not going to be too dissimilar to anything we've got, even if it is more advanced. The big issue is, you know, to what extent we have the capability to even begin to understand an alien spaceship. Now, I know on the one hand, you know, you do have these stories about, oh yeah, we've fully duplicated them, we understand them, and we're flying them, and you know, in the event of another world war or something, they'll be reeled out the hangars and they'll just obliterate the enemy in a second. I sometimes wonder if those stories are sort of created to sort of spook the enemy, so to speak, into thinking we have got this. I sometimes wonder if, you know, it'd be sort of really ironic if everybody at Area 51 or ever have got these UFOs and they've just spent 50 years scratching their heads thinking, how the hell does this work? You know, it's kind of like throwing, you know, transporting, I don't know, a Ferrari to 18th century England and saying to the scientists of the day, you know, start this car and drive it. You know, I'm sure they probably realise that, you know, it's a vehicle because it has wheels and it can move forward and it can move backwards, and it has a wheel inside that turns, and they probably guessed that would turn the front wheels. But without the ignition key, or more importantly, you know, without refined petrol in the engine, it just wouldn't move. And I think, you know, when we're talking about craft potentially built on other planets from galaxies away, I think the idea that in just a few decades we would understand them from top to bottom and we could, you know, totally replicate them, for me, I actually don't think that's the case. But I think agencies have spread these stories as a means to, you know, to try and frighten enemy nations and just see what their reaction is. But I wouldn't be at all surprised, you know, if they actually got these things, if they're just sort of stored away, maybe even gathering dust now because no one can figure them out, you know. But they don't want people to think, well, we haven't got it figured out, you know.
Well, there's a lot of sightings up there in the sky, so, you know, they've got to be something there, isn't there? Yeah, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think, but there's no doubt that there's a real UFO phenomenon. You know, I mean, you can find reports, well, flying saucers, you know, go back to the 40s. I mean, before that, over Scandinavia, there was the ghost rocket sightings, and in the Second World War, you had the Foo Fighters. In the 1800s, you had what were known as the phantom airships. You know, you can find reports going back to like Roman times of what were described as flying shields.
Yeah.
You can go even further back, the gods coming down from the sky in Egypt and things like that. So there have always been reports of strange things in the sky that were piloted by higher beings, whether they were today called aliens or gods or whatever in the past, or angels, who knows. But the important thing is these sightings have been made for as long as people have been around. And so for that reason, there's no doubt that UFOs from somewhere else are coming here, in my mind. The big question is, who are they, where are they from, and what do they want?
Right. As I say, because we've seen them in our own back garden and not worked out what they are. So it is quite interesting when people do say that they've seen them. Well, there was a program recently on Channel 4 where they were talking about abductees and stuff like that. Now, have you ever spoken to any contactees, and what's your theory on what they've said?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've spoken to a lot of contactees and abductees. The difference, of course, abductees are people who've been sort of like systematically kidnapped and sort of, involved in what sound more like straightforward black and white medical experimentation, which is sort of very cold and emotionless. The contactees are sort of a different bunch, where they claim to have actually had face-to-face encounters with extraterrestrials, which have been a lot more like a friendly one-to-one basis, where these entities have, given warnings about the state of the planet and the human race, etc. And I actually wrote a book on the contactees back in 2009, which had the amazingly imaginative title of Contactees. And that book, delved into the entire history of the contactee phenomenon. And I mean, a lot of people in the UFO field, they give the contactee movement a bad rap. They think it's all nonsense. I actually don't think it is. I think a lot of the contactees had legitimate, real experiences, like, for example, out in the deserts of America, with these very human-like aliens. And some of the encounters do come across as almost like visionary-type experiences. And again, I think in some cases, maybe the minds of the contactees were sort of altered to allow the phenomenon to sort of appear in a way that was sort of acceptable and comfortable for the people of that period. In other words, maybe the contactees didn't actually see the UFO phenomenon as it really is. They saw it in a way that didn't frighten them or freak them out, and that, they could relate to in terms of the pop culture of the 50s or 60s or whatever. And I think that happens today, that maybe, because the phenomenon is so definitively alien, that it kind of appears for us in a way that our subconscious wants it to. It's like a camouflage, but it also acts as a way of, not freaking us out too much. And so that's why I think a lot of these contactee stories are genuine, because a lot of them have these little overtones of like a vision. And by a vision, I don't mean they hallucinated it or made it up. I actually mean the phenomenon appeared like in a visionary fashion for them. So, yeah, for me, the contactee movement and encounters, they're an integral part of it, as much as our radar reports or government documents.
John from Minnesota, he says that the Aztecs, have many carvings that show images of being visited by ETs. I don't know if you've seen
them.
Yeah,
they do. Yeah. And I mean, you can find that in all ancient cultures, whether it's the Egyptians, old Indian legends from India, Native American Indians, from India, and Mesopotamia, South America. They've all got stories, about the gods coming down and helping them build these massive structures like the Egyptian pyramids and the South American pyramids. And yeah, I mean, sometimes a legend is just a legend, but when you've got similar stories from, whether it's the Aztecs or the Mayan people, or ancient India or Egypt, and they're all talking about, these fantastic beings coming down and helping man, in these gleaming objects or fiery objects, then, it's very easy to put that into like a UFO situation today. So, and I think we should put it into that category, because for me, it's almost impossible not to put it into that category,
And part of the film, The Sixth Sense, I think it is, when the aliens come down to the pyramids, Do you think the pyramids have got some sort of signification?
Well, I do, in the sense that I think a lot of ancient stone structures, they all have a tie-in with this phenomenon. I think the problem is today, in our world, we've forgotten a lot about, the myths and the folklore and the beliefs of people who came before us. In today's world, we're sort of limited to occasionally saying, touch wood when you tell somebody something, or, people who still don't walk under ladders, that kind of thing. That's about all we do. But, back thousands of years ago, ancient man sort of lived by the beliefs and superstitions. Their entire lives are modeled around it. And I think they had good reason to. I think today we've got all our technology, but we've lost our ability to understand that there are higher and stranger things going on. And I think, when you hear stories about the pyramids and sort of energizing people and stone circles like Stonehenge and the Avebury Circle and other ones in England and Scotland and Ireland and Wales, where people have felt rejuvenated in them, or they've seen weird little balls of light flitting around them. This suggests to me that, they're not just stone circles built as temples, but maybe they were sort of embedded with some sort of power that we don't understand today that is directly related to something, from somewhere else. And so I think, we've lost this knowledge, and, it's become relegated to like fairy tales, and things like that. But I think if we could uncover it again, we'd see a bigger picture that's like on our doorstep. Anybody could go down and see Stonehenge, but they're not understanding what it actually means and implies.
I stand corrected. It's the fifth element. I don't have a number in it. Not the sixth. But as I say, most of these places, maybe they portray to have portals. What's your theory on portals?
Well, yeah, portals, that's a big interest of mine. It's actually the subject of a book I wrote last year called The World's Weirdest Places, which was a study of 25 places around the world, like Cannock Chase, where, it's like everything and its brother that's paranormal has descended on it. And I really do believe that these portals do exist. I think this explains a lot of strange stuff, not just UFOs. One of my other big interests is Bigfoot. Yeah. Now, a lot of people think Bigfoot is just an unknown ape or an unknown colony of apes, roaming around the United States. But I live just on the fringes of Dallas. I can drive less than an hour, and I can be in an area of forest where people have claimed to see like 12-foot or 10-foot tall apes. I'm not exaggerating when I say that tall. Only an hour from where President Kennedy was shot, and yet we can't catch them. We never find them. We never get a body. They never die in the woods and get stumbled on. And a lot of reports of Bigfoot acting in very weird fashion, like vanishing in a flash of a light or just disappearing. And there are a lot of reports like this in Britain as well, from the Cannock Chase. Now, there's no way that you could have a colony of flesh and blood, 8-foot-tall animals living on Cannock Chase and not be found. It's just not possible. But people see them. But they also see them like dematerializing. And I think because the witnesses, come across as very, very credible and valid, I think the only way to explain this is by the existence of like static portals in certain places. And I think these entities are probably extremely highly evolved, and they can jump from there. They can jump through these portals in the same way, we can jump on a train on the London Underground. You jump on one, and then you get off at another station or another station. And I think, although that's more simplistic in terms of describing it, I think that's what's going on, that we have portals and entries and doorways, if you like, all around the world. And these things come in and out of those portals. And that's why a lot of these different types of phenomena have this kind of here 1 minute, gone the next minute aspect to them, because they really are here 1 minute and gone the next. And so I think portals and doorways, if you like, gateways, are the best way to explain this sort of phenomenon. Today, things like quantum physics are allowing for the existence of extra multi-dimensions. So maybe a lot of these things sort of coexist with us, but we just don't see them until they're literally in our environment, but in a different dimension. We're sharing the same space, but until they enter our space, we don't see them, and then suddenly they're gone again.
There has been a theory in the paranormal world regarding ghosts and UFOs, that there is a connection. That sometimes, if there is a sighting of a ghost not far away, in the region, there is a significant UFO sighting as well. Do you think there could be a connection then?
Well, there could be. I mean, again, it could be people, seeing something coming through a portal.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes. I'm not saying this is always the case, but maybe in some ghostly cases, perhaps seeing something come through a portal when it perhaps looks semi-transparent as it's coming through, might make people think, they've seen the spirit. And I think also, there are a number of famous stories. There's a very famous one from York where a guy saw what looked like a small group of like Roman soldiers, and there were Roman soldiers, centuries ago when the Romans invaded in York. But I wonder if these were actually like ghosts, or if it was like a time slip, where the time frames have got confused. But then there are other cases, which sound like ghostly activity. I mean, about 10 or 11 years ago, my dog at the time, her name was Charity. She was a Shar-Pei, one of these wrinkly, big, muscular dogs. When she died, unfortunately, we had a lot of weird activity go on. Like, for example, a sudden smell of wet dog, which was just overpowering. This was like 2 or 3 days after she died. It just literally came out of nowhere. That's on my heart. It's a true story. It was just like this overpowering smell. And we got like this, like me and my wife, we got this like sense that there was, part of her was still around. You know what I mean? And it was very, very strange. And there were 3 or 4 things like that happened in the immediate week after she died. And for me, I actually do believe some essence of her, whether you want to call it a soul or an energy, I don't know. But I think something hung around. And people often report that where, I think there's nobody who hasn't either had a ghost experience or they don't have a friend or a family member who's had one. And, very often it's like the person hangs around, or something of their essence hangs around briefly, maybe for a few days or weeks or maybe a month or two, and then it goes away. But, often in that period afterwards, a lot of people, report things like this, whether it's with people or whether it's with animals,
Right, we've got another question for you from Ashley. He said, have you noticed a major increase in UFO reports recently? Do you feel that there could be a gathering for the aliens to reveal themselves to mankind soon? We've heard a lot about this, that sometime soon there's going to be where they're going to actually come out and say, yes, I am here. Do you think that's going to happen?
I truthfully wish I could say for sure that it is. The thing that, I can say for sure is that, unfortunately, sightings do come in waves where, there can be a massive wave of encounters that goes on, and it looks like it's building to something, but then it peaks, but then it drops again. For example, 1952, there was 47, when it all kicked off, there was a massive wave. 1952, there was. 67 was a huge era in Britain for UFO activity. And so it does come in like peaks and troughs, so to speak. And I know maybe one of the days, one of these peaks will remain a peak, and we'll all get up one morning, look out the window, and there's just going to be all these craft in the skies. And I hope that happens. The only thing I would say, and it's not to put a downcast look on it, but it is the fact that we have had massive waves in the past, which have then just sort of faded off, and levels have sort of dropped off to a more regular level before rising again. So I'm just not sure. I mean, I think it's more like a wait and see game, I guess, more than anything else.
Right. Are MIB investigators? Is it true to the belief that they're involved in occult practices?
What, the MIB?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's. I mean, I would say at least a good 40, maybe 40, 50, 60% of the reports I get have some sort of occult or paranormal overtone to them. I mentioned briefly, but I'll sort of expand on that, how in a number of cases, witnesses have talked about having very strange poltergeist activity in the home afterwards, where, furniture has moved or items on a table. The person will get up the next day and things are just nothing's broken, but it's like things have just been meddled with, almost like in some weird, sinister joke type fashion. As I said, you've got the sort of the vampire type overtones where the MIB, it's almost as if they cannot be let in unless you invite them.
Yeah.
There are other cases where people have been dabbling into the occult and they've been visited by the Men in Black. For example, the one guy who kicked off pretty much the whole Men in Black mystery in the US in the early 50s was a guy named Albert Bender. He lived in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and he was someone who was fascinated by ghostly phenomena and the occult and supernatural things, and that was his big thing, was the occult.
Yeah.
But from there, he got into the UFO subject. But what happened was that within sort of months of digging into it, he started to get these weird appearances. He'd be in his room late at night, and he'd start to feel sick and dizzy, and he'd have to lie down, and he'd go into like a semi-trance or like a semi-faint, passing out type situation. And he said these three men in black would sort of materialize at the foot of his bed, and they were sort of dressed in a typical black suit, old black trilby type hat, but had these sort of weirdly glowing eyes. And this sort of all broke out after he'd been digging into stuff like Ouija boards and trying to contact sort of paranormal creatures and things like this. And it led Bender to believe that the whole thing was all part of one bigger mystery, whether it was, paranormal creatures, supernatural stuff, UFOs. He felt somewhere it was all part of one complete picture. And it terrified him to where he left the subject. And many people who have these sort of paranormal and occult aspects of MIB encounters, they really do. They quit the whole thing.
Right. Got a couple more questions to ask you. But Ashley wants to know, could you? Sorry, that's what he wants me to say afterwards. He said, do you think, as he does, that aliens communicate through spirit? He's one of our investigators with UK Shadow Seekers. And he's always come up with a theory that maybe what we're actually hearing is aliens talking to us and not spirit. Do you think that could be possible?
I've never really dug into that angle personally, but what I would say is that a lot of abductees are actually talked about when they've been abducted. It's almost like the abduction has occurred in like a spirit form where their soul has been extracted from the body. Rather than, as a lot of people think, an abduction, they have this image of being physically taken on board a nuts and bolts craft and, prodded and poked or whatever. But they've talked about almost like an out-of-body experience where it's literally like an out-of-body abduction, and that the entities that they've met are almost like in a disembodied spirit form as well. And a number of abductees have also spoken about seeing dead relatives during an abduction. And I mean, in Whitley Strieber talks about this quite extensively in his books. If you want sort of a good study of this, his books Communion, Transformation, and I forget what the other one was called now, but certainly Communion and Transformation are two main ones where he makes it clear that the beings he saw seem to have the ability to sort of straddle the physical world and sort of the world of the afterlife.
Yeah.
He kind of likened it to the idea that they physically can exist in our world, but they can literally leave their bodies and sort of travel in an astral world. And he sometimes wondered if the bodies they use on Earth are almost like a biological robot, kind of like us putting like a deep sea diving suit on to go into the sea. He wondered if they actually, their soul is implanted into like these biological robots to allow them to move about on Earth. But he wondered if they actually, they could be living almost in like like an astral form. Could be their natural form, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, he'd like me to, before I ask you his last question, he'd like me just to say thank you for answering his questions. And he said it's been an interesting show. But his last question was, going back to cryptozoology, what is your take on the Mothman prophecy and the Ogopogo monster in Kelowna? Is that right, Canada? Is that related to Nessie? What's your theory?
Well, as far as the whole Mothman prophecies thing is concerned, again, I think Mothman is more of a paranormal creature. I don't think it's like an unknown animal that from the earth that science hasn't just found yet. I think it's more paranormal. And what's interesting is that when Mothman sightings were at their height in Point Pleasant, West Virginia in the 60s, a lot of people who saw Mothman were visited and threatened by the Men in Black. So, you've got to tie in there as well. Now, as far as Ogopogo is concerned, this is like a Canadian equivalent of the Loch Ness Monster or monsters. And, a lot of lakes and lochs around the world, have got traditions of lake monsters in them. And I think a lot of them are genuine. It wouldn't surprise me if there are different explanations for different creatures. Some could be surviving relics of creatures, from millions of years ago, tens of thousands of years ago, that should have become extinct, but that maybe haven't become extinct after all. Others of them could be things like giant eels, and some may well be creatures that science hasn't yet found. But I mean, there's a lot of good testimony and photographs and, different things relating to Ogopogo in the same way there is Nessie. The problem is that some of these lakes are so vast that, if these creatures are born, live and die in the lakes, then they're just going to sink to the bottom and be eaten by the smaller fish, So the chances of us actually catching one are far more, slimmer than a lot of people would think because of the sheer size and depth and the murky waters, of these huge lakes.
Right. So what conclusions have you come to through all your research?
That we're living in a very weird planet.
Very weird. It's one way to put it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's how I would sum it up simply.
Yeah.
But I would, in sort of at a lengthier way, I would say that, that it's clear to me that there are a lot of strange things here that interact with us that somehow seem to need us almost in some fashion. And the world that we see around us isn't all there is to it. It's far beyond black and white. There's, much more going on. And, the world of the supernatural, the occult, the ufological, the paranormal, they're all very, very real.
Right. And you mentioned your book earlier. Is it just out, did you say?
Well, I've got one out right now, Monster Files.
Yeah.
That came out about a month ago. And I've got another one. I didn't sort of crank them both out at the same time. It was just the publisher's schedules. But the other one is called, there's a series of books put out in Britain called Mystery Animals of the British Isles, and each one is on a different county. And mine's done with a friend of mine, Glenn Vaudrey, and it covers Staffordshire. So it's like everything from sightings of big cats to werewolves, and even to out-of-place animals on the loose in Staffordshire, like wallabies and things like that.
Right. And can we expect to see other titles from you in the future? And what are you doing in the US at the moment?
Well, as I said, I've just got this new book out, but I'm working on a couple more right now. I'm actually working on a third book on the Men in Black because, as I said earlier, I get so many reports from people who've been kind enough to let me use the reports. And so I'm working on a third Men in Black book and also a couple more UFO-based ones. And probably at some point another cryptozoology one for at some point next year. So I've always got a few things like that going on. It kind of keeps me out of trouble.
And I noticed you wrote something on celebrity secrets.
Yeah, that was a totally different book.
Yeah.
As I say, I do a lot of writing that, is totally beyond, paranormal. I'm actually a feature writer for Penthouse, which is quite an interesting job.
Right. But would you say the celebrity secrets comes under conspiracy theories?
Yeah, Celebrity Secrets is nothing to do with the paranormal. It's how and why, over the years, government agencies have secretly spied on, like, the stars of Hollywood. And a lot of it was sort of more historical in terms of, people like Marilyn Monroe and the Kennedys and Frank Sinatra having connections with the mafia. And it's sort of like a historical study of why, a lot of the celebrities of that era were secretly watched. So.
We have a colleague, a friend over here, probably a mutual friend, who says he's followed by black ops quite regularly. I don't know whether you've heard of him, Tony Topping.
Oh yeah, I've heard of Tony. Yeah.
Do you have the same problem?
I actually haven't had that. I often get asked that question. Unless they're really hiding themselves well.
Yeah.
Joking aside, the thing is, it's like everything I uncover pretty much goes into the books. So it's like if somebody wants to spy on Nick Redfern,
Yeah.
ironically, you don't have to do the sophisticated phone tapping or whatever. Just buy the next book.
Well, this is it.
You know, and I think people often forget that you know, it's like the UFO community. Collectively, we put out what we find. You know,
Yeah.
it's all over the internet. So in that sense, the old days of having to watch people are, to an extent at least, are gone because
Yeah.
you just click on somebody's blog or you know and see what they found out, and you know. So I think they can keep tabs on us quite easily that way.
Yeah. So, Nick, what's the best website to find you on?
People can reach me. The best one is Nick Redfern 14, as in 14 times, Fortean. Nick Redfern 14.blogspot.com. Or people just type me into Facebook, and
You're everywhere.
there are a few different Nick Redferns on Facebook, but I'm only one of them. And with my pictures there, you'll see me with a shaved head and an England t-shirt on. So
True to your hometown now, home country.
exactly. Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
well, everyone's
go
enjoyed the
shopping.
interview. Okay.
All right, cool.
And I've also been asked whether you will return to the KTPF show.
Oh yes. Any time you want me on, I'll be glad to be on the show.
Okay. Well, good luck with your books, and
All right, well, thank you.
you know, hopefully maybe next time if you're in England, you can pop over to the show yourself.
Yeah, that would be great. I'll be happy to do that.
So, I've been asked. I really enjoyed the show. What is it? Is there anything on you via YouTube?
Yeah, they're actually not so much by me, but when I've given lectures, if the lectures have been filmed, you can see a lot of those on YouTube. And I think a few TV shows that I've done, people have, you know, just sort of copied and posted those as well.
Right. Okay.
And different radio shows, that kind of thing. But I haven't although I've obviously got a YouTube account, I've never sort of personally uploaded stuff that I've done. But there are a lot of lectures.
Right. Well, this will be on there later on as well. So,
Okay.
well, thanks again, Nick. And
All right,
as I say, all the best of luck in the future. And don't be a stranger.
I won't. I definitely won't.
Okay. Good night.
Thanks a lot.
Bye bye. Well, there you go. What did you think to that interview? It was really interesting. We covered quite a lot there, didn't we? Mr. Nick Redfern. Yes, I've been trying to get him on for ages. What's that? I know, it would have done, wouldn't it? Oh my God. Yes. It would have done. So, as I say, his website. Oh God, yeah. Well, I had to ring him up and pay for something, and it was £1 extra on my phone bill, and £13 pence something, point something for the connection, and £2p point something. So you might as well say 3 pence a minute. So, and we've been on for just over an hour. Oh, I don't know. Andy's finally made it, and he's just missed Nick Redfern. I don't know. So, but I don't know where he's been. Typical, he says. I don't know. But yeah, it was, as I say, that was a spendy call. It was a spendy call, but it had to be done because the guy hasn't got Skype, unfortunately. So, but I hate to think how much it's going to cost me. But as I say, just out of curiosity, I'm going to cancel it next week. So I haven't got it again. So if we say 3 pence a minute, we was on it 80 minutes, yeah, times by 3p, okay, equals plus say 14 pence. Oh, that didn't work. Yeah, no, well, it's just over that. 80 times by 0.3 plus 0.13 pence equals £2.53. That just cost me, so that weren't bad, was it? That's not bad. And like you said, I'd get my money back on my first call. To Dallas, yeah. And if I hadn't have done that, it would have cost me 19 pence to connect and about 15 pence per minute. Yeah. Yeah. So, is this the paranormal or maths class? This is the first time I've called America. Can't include John because that's a local call. Yes. So now we are waiting for an advert to come for the get a cup and a piece of string across the Atlantic cheaper. I don't know. All right. So as I say, we've had a lone gunman on there, but he's not asked any questions tonight. What's happened with you, John? I need a refill. So that's all right. But as I say, hi all, by the way. Hi Andy, nice to see you. We're going to be finished in a minute. So, but anyway, as I say, we're waiting for an advert to be made, and just to tell you a bit about it, if I can find it, because we will no longer be sponsored by Body by Vi, which isn't a problem because, as I say, they've not been getting any sponsorships from us, but that's not a problem. It's helped each other somewhere along the line, I would think. But there is a place we will be advertising soon, and that's Ghost Store for all your paranormal equipment needs, be that spiritual, technical, or traditional. Large stock range is available for same day dispatch where possible, and they are a small business aiming to offer our fellow investigators great products with great service. And you can visit them at the Ghost Store, which is www.pigs.co.uk/ghost store. Okay, so he's doing a piggy wiggy, yeah. He's doing an advert for us, and it will be. I said to him, get it ready for when we come back. No, I've told him to do it for when we come back. So basically, there's quite some good things on there. Now we borrowed we didn't borrow. We got sent the REM pod, didn't we? The REM DD.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Now, for those of you who've not heard of the REM DD, all right, I'm going to send you a link for a video that you can have a look at in your spare time. Now, this REM pod thing is quite interesting, isn't it, Steve?
it is. We got something out of it the first time out.
Yeah. And
Not sure
unfortunately,
exactly what it was,
I can't show you it at the moment because I don't think it's at hand, is it?
no,
We'll probably bring it out
packed
next.
away in the box.
Yeah, we'll probably bring it out next week. Okay, but this REM pod, it's quite I'm going to show. I had a great time on this. Right, well, I've just been interrupted by Nick. He's just sent me a message, and
What's he say? What's he say?
for your time. Hope to speak soon. And he basically said, "Hi Suzanne, cheers for having me on the show. I had a great time. All the best, Nick." So
cool.
So he was happy.
Yeah.
And
we did get quite a few good questions.
We did, didn't we? We threw a few in. But as I say, going back to this REM pod, the REM DD, or not REM pod, REM DD emits an electromagnetic field around its antenna and displays any field disturbances on its 4 different coloured LEDs, as well as audible tones. The sensitivity can be adjusted by the height of the antenna before turning on the device. The field around the antenna can be disrupted by all sorts of material and objects that can conduct electricity. The LEDs will light up based on distance and strength of the EM field in order of blue, yellow, orange and red. It's auto collaboration when turned on. It's audible sounds, instant response to disturbances, telescopic antenna, and runs off a 9-volt battery. And I'll be honest with you, we've used it twice. A few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Collaboration.
We first saw it on
Calibration.
It calibrates it. Self-calibrating.
It is self-calibrating.
Yeah, we first saw it on that.
What did we see it on?
Oh, what's that thing? It's the American show where they go and actually find
Haunted Collector.
That's the one.
We had Brian J. Cano, didn't we?
Yeah.
We saw it on Haunted Collector, and
Deb saw it on tap.
she saw it on Taps. So, but yeah, it was really interesting. We used it at the first night we used it was at the galleries, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was a disappointing night, I must admit, because
it was
most of the place was shut up.
And it was mainly a dead night for us, but we was in the main courtroom.
Yeah.
And Denise was sitting up in the judge's chair, wasn't she? Up there, somewhere close to that. And she had it actually on the desk. And she nearly jumped out of her skin when it went off.
So Zarconia is our Ashley, Andy. He had a stroke just before Christmas, and he's getting back on his feet quite quickly.
And he's getting a little bit of movement in his
Yes, so he's doing quite well. So that's who Sargonia is. But yeah, it was quite interesting. Just don't use it during a storm, or if the air is really dry due to the static discharge. Oh yeah, what static discharge? Okay, a new name to me at least. What static discharge? Yup, that's very American, isn't it? Yup. Okay, Moscow.
Okay, Deputy Dog.
Okay there, Moscow. Zap. No, we've used it twice, don't we?
Yes. I'm going to have to get that box out and have a look at the paperwork. Isn't it?
Yeah, but we used it. What was the second place we used it at? I can't think. But we were calling out, weren't we? And we frightened Denise, didn't we, with it?
Where did we go after that?
I don't know. Is it Rotunda? I can't think.
Yes, I think we got Rotunda after that.
Did we?
Yes.
Right. Wake up, Steve, he said. But yeah, and when did it go off there?
I wasn't there with that one. So
All right, okay. You do know that when we get there, we are going to have to go on a major investigation. Oh, yeah. That's a given. That's a bloody given, that is, John.
just let us know, John. We'll come along.
You're going to have to hurry up. Times are fleeting. So, but yeah.
Mind you, he has got a lot to do before he can come over.
Yes, he has.
A lot of standing up and stuff.
Yeah, we're getting there. We've got the house half packed up, haven't we?
Can you say that word again, please?
We're getting there. We've got
given, not gibbon.
Given. That's a given.
Given with a V.
With a V.
Not a V.
Yeah. So not a gibbon. Right, we're going to take a bit of a break while we give you the events for this coming weeks. Okay, so we'll see you after these words from paranormaleventsforyou.com.
We've got all the news right here. Don't go away.
Fed up of wading through the activities and events that other advertisers include? Find just what you're looking for at paranormaleventsforyou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory.
On the 25th of July, UK Shadow Seekers are having a paranormal social night at the Boundary near the Guybridge Station in Ashton-under-Lyne. On the 26th of July, Grave Encounters are doing a ghost hunt and supper at the Skirrid Inn in Wales. Also on the 26th, Twilight Paranormal are going to Alton Towers in Staffordshire. On the 27th of July, Haunted Places Paranormal are going to Kelverton Hatch in Brentwood. On the 27th of July, Spook Savers UK are going to Black Horse, Plockley Village, Ashford. Also on the 27th of July, GC UK are going to Newsham Park Hospital in Liverpool. And again on the 27th, Bodenham Manor Paranormal Events are awakening the spirits at Bodenham Manor, Bodenham, Hereford. On the 9th of August, Wasp Paranormal UK are going to Kelverton Hatch in Brentwood. On the 10th of August, Twilight Paranormal are going to Zachary Medical Museum in Leeds. On the 17th of August, UK Shadow Seekers are going to York Castle Museum in York. On the weekend of the 24th of August, there's a Mind, Body and Spirit Fair at Elskar in Barnsley. On the weekend of the 31st of August, there's a Mind, Body and Spirit Fair We've got Manchester in Cambridgeshire.
So check out the one-stop paranormal directory for more investigations and events, available now. ParanormalEventsForYou.com also offers banner advertising for only £10 per year. See our website for more details. ParanormalEventsForYou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory.
Oh, there we go. That's your events for up until the end of August.
Yeah, and we hope to be back in September sometime. We are here next week, and we will be talking to Andy again.
Oh, yes.
About how the Nazis were supposed to be linked to and using black magic, occult rituals, to further their attempts to take over the world. He will be talking about the origins of these ideas, how the Nazis made use of existing occult beliefs, and the legacy of these ideas and beliefs, things like the Hollow Earth, Nazis on the moon, and Nazi UFOs. He shall also be debunking a lot of myths, and so it'd be interesting to see how the audience responds. So, okay, so that's what we've got next week. So, and because of that, we will be starting at 8:30 next week.
Let's start a bit later.
Yep. Okay. Now, the thing is, after next week, we good night to everyone from. Good night, Ashley. So we wanting any questions, and also at the end of the day, after next week, we will be taking a break while we sort out our move. So I'm hoping we will be moved by the time we come back. We will be sorting out a schedule for when we come back as well. We've got a lot of people that have actually contacted us.
Andy's actually said you could be here from 8.
Oh, can you?
So we don't have to start a bit late.
All right, we'll start at 8 then. No need to. I can be here at 8. Okay, in that case, we shall be here at 8 o'clock.
He's speaking from the bingo.
I hope not. Bloody bingo. I don't know, and I thought us women were bad. Well, anyway, as I was saying, if you are a regular to the KTPF, we will be back as soon as possible, as soon as we've got sorted. And what we'll be doing is
we're waiting for something, aren't we?
Yeah.
But we're half packed. We've still got half the house to do. But I think we'll leave until we know. Get the notifications.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the exact date that we're going to move, and it looks like we will be coming back on a Sunday, which seems to be agreeable with everyone. So only on a Sunday, yeah, on a Sunday. So we will be starting about 9 o'clock, I think.
No, bingo's only on the Sunday.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can start at 8 or 9 o'clock yet.
No.
I don't know.
On a Sunday?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll sort it out.
We'll sort out whether we're starting at 8 or 9 o'clock.
Ash says we're moving the studio to the garden shed.
Sure, although I'll be at bingo. How long are you going to be at bingo for? No. What do you mean no? No, Reiki Debs, no what? No, what? What? No what? Finish at 9:30. All right. Sunday nights are no. Why are they no? Oh, we can't have that then. We might have to change.
School night.
It's a school night. Oh, well, so is Wednesday, isn't it? Wednesday is a school night. Too much to do. Ah.
Get the kids' uniforms and everything ready.
Yeah. What about Thursday? Or a Friday? It is, but I have to do too much. So I don't know what, well, you'll have to let me know what you prefer, Wednesday or whatever. Or should we stick to Wednesdays? I don't know.
Well, if you do stick to Wednesday, we just start a bit later.
Yeah, we could do that. Fridays would be good. If we do stick to Wednesdays, we could start a bit later. We will have to get things done before. LOL. Right, in that case, I'm going to have to put a poll on and find out what people want.
You'll be attacked by that moth.
I know. What do you want me to do? To pick a date. KTPF Crunchy. Good idea. Right. What do you want me to do? Reiki Debs, which day is best for you? Because I can't lose me people, can I?
Yeah, I want to pick a day that's best.
We want to pick a day that's best for everyone. Reiki Debs. The only reason why we said the weekend, because of these
Sunday will be fine.
at 8 o'clock. At 8, not later? I'm happy with any day. Friday. Reiki Debs, would later than 8 be any good?
About 8:30.
Like 8:30. Call in Reiki Debs. Come back, Reiki Debs.
And you obviously prefers later.
I know. Depends when you finish. Well, if we started at 8:30, 9 o'clock, we'll probably finish roughly about now to 10:30, 11 at the latest.
Yeah, the shows normally last
About an hour and a half, 2 hours at the most.
2 hours, don't they? Normally about 2
Yeah.
hours long.
8 finish at midnight. I'm not finishing at midnight. No. Cool. Right, so if I started about 8:30, you'll be alright then.
So at 8:30, and so that'll be about 10:30, 11 o'clock we finish, which is about what we finish at now usually.
Yeah. Is
There
that
you go.
alright? In bed but for 10:30 latest on Sunday. Right, okay. That would be fine. Take the laptop to bed to get the last few minutes.
But that's okay. So now we know. Sunday night. 8:30.
8:30 when we come back.
When we come back.
I knew you would say that. So that's fine with you then, Debs. 8:30 Sunday. Right, great. That's good. Because then we can get more American people on. And it means we don't have to worry about them being at work like John.
Yeah, and Andy will get in at an hour later.
Yeah.
That's what he does now.
Yes, he does. He gets in an hour later now, so that's no problem.
He does because he's got to get home and have his tea and everything.
Yeah. So
We do loads.
I will tune in at 10 p.m.
We do loads more.
John, I'll slap you. So that's it then. There's nothing really else to talk about, is there? Unless you want to give us a ring and tell us what you've been up to. What investigations you've been on.
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead.
We called it. We called it, John.
Walking Blooming Dead.
The Royal Baby.
The Royal Baby. We've spoken about the Royal Baby. We'd like to wish William and Kate all the best.
Yes.
For their future with their baby and anybody else that was born on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday for that matter. Because they're all special babies, aren't they? Don't have to be royal to be special.
No.
So, you know.
I'm just happy that it was a healthy young baby.
Yeah, this is it. So,
That'll do for me.
That'll do for me. So, welcome to the world, little George. Well, at least it went a little Willie. Sorry.
You couldn't, could you? You couldn't resist it.
I couldn't resist it. Even Deb's laughed at that. So, but it looks like we're going to need to finish now because there's not really much to talk about. But I will tell you something. We've had quite a few people that have actually asked to be on the show. We've had, let me see. I'll tell you. We've got a young lady who's prepared to come on talking about shamanism. That we're going to line up. That we're going to line up for you on the show. I'm just trying to think where she sent me the message now. That's Barbara. Is that her name? I can't think of her name now. I should know her name. I see her often enough. So, but she's into shamanism. We'll find her name.
There was a couple as well, wasn't there?
Barbara Mickle John Free. That's her name, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Barbara Mickle John Free. So She's going to be booked to come on. And who else? There was somebody else that wants to come on the show.
Yeah, there was a couple together, wasn't there?
Yeah. Ryan Gooding is a gypsy medium. And who else is there? We have had some people. I'm sure they must have emailed me. Hold on, let me go to my emails. KTPF. We've got Spirit Watch. They want to come on the show, and obviously Alison Winrider will be back. We've had to reschedule her, and some of the others that we've had on the show will obviously come back, and we'll see who else we can get on. Probably get our friend Lionel Fanthorpe. Yes. Andy will be on talking about whatever. That's what he thought. He can think up some more rubbish to talk about. So, you know, and it should be good. And we've got, as I say, there's also a man from Las Vegas who's going to come on and talk about his group as well. Andy something or other.
And we've still got that group in Scotland still. Come on, haven't we?
Yep, there's a group in Scotland, so we're going to get more groups on, hopefully, as well. So yeah, it should be good fun. IPR, Institute of Paranormal Research. Cool stuff. Yeah. And also, hopefully, sometime in the new, we can talk about Reiki and stuff like that.
Maybe Reiki Debs can come on and talk about Reiki.
So, if you like, get some excellent EVPs you could play. Yes, I'm expecting some from John anytime. Hypnosis, anything like that.
And once
they're all giving us suggestions.
And once Derek's book's out,
yep,
maybe we can get him back.
Get Derek back on the show.
And when that would be interesting then, because then all the leashes would be off on it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you know, we'll be getting, and we'll probably get Richard Freeman back on because he's not long come back from investigating the.
He didn't go.
He did.
No, it was cancelled, wasn't it?
No, it said recently he's been to Sumatra. He finally went.
Because initially it was.
It was cancelled.
It was cancelled, wasn't it?
Yeah, but he has been and come back again.
Hey,
so you know, but yeah, he's been and come back again.
Well, can I just say, all these EVPs that people have got, yeah, either send them to us and we'll put them on, or put them on the Keep It Paranormal Friendly website yourselves.
Yeah, for everyone else to hear.
See what other people think.
So
they're quite welcome to do that, aren't they? And get other
definitely
people's
is.
Take on it.
Yeah, I think it was what's his face? John that mentioned him going.
What's his face?
What's his face? John Downs.
What's his face and thingamajig and thingy.
He mentioned it recently about him coming back. So he's been.
And he said, can we host video?
Can we do what?
Video on the site.
I don't know. To be honest with you. Let me have a look. You probably could. Somehow. You could put them on the TPN social network. I know that much.
No, I was talking about the FB ones, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
And you just went into the actual KTPF main website.
Oh, what was you on about? Facebook?
On the show page. People listen to it.
If you send them to me, I could probably get our Vinny to sort something out. you could probably put a link on there, or not a link, but a bit like what's at the top where they can actually pick on them. We could do it that way. So we can do it that way maybe.
She's got a fantastic recording. It needs to be up somewhere.
We can give it a go. I'm sure Vinny will be able to get it on, our webmaster. So, sure he will. Send it to us and we'll give us...
and we'll get it where we can.
Yeah. So there is, as I say, there is... He managed to get that on there, so we might be able to put it down there where the body by vibe bit is, because that'll be coming off, so we'll need something. So yeah, we can put it there, and you can click onto it and take it from there. So we'll find somewhere for it. Don't worry. If you send it to us at KTPF. .co.uk. I forgot then. That was right, wasn't it?
And we've also got to catch up on...
No, admin at ktpf.co.uk.
We've also got to catch up on... Is it John Blackman?
Yes.
He's doing a big thing.
He's doing a big thing.
In August, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's going to be live, which I think will be a Sunday anyway. So that'll be perfect.
Yeah, I think it is.
You know what I mean? So we've got that coming up as well. So that'll mean we hopefully can get that running so you can actually tell him where to go.
Yeah, we're going to try and link in, aren't we?
Yeah. So that'll be good. And John's big thingy. Ash says hi, Roxy.
There's two up.
So she looked up for you, Ash. So yeah, we've got some plans. We just got to get them into action and hopefully get the ball rolling. And I'm hoping that sometime in the next year we'll have another person on board. Maybe God knows where in the country, but at least it'll be a bit closer than Minnesota. Hint, hint. So, but yeah, at least then we can go on holiday and leave them to it. Oh dear. So he's disappeared. He's not listening to me. But yeah, so that's basically wraps it up for tonight, I'm afraid. But don't forget, if you do have any more ideas, please send them to us at admin at ktpf.co.uk. So
yeah, let us know, and we'll try and bring it forward.
Yeah,
see what we can do.
See what we can do. So okay, and if you've got any ideas for guests, we have been asking people if they do have any ideas to bring them forward. Because remember, this is your show too. It's not just ours. We asked you to get involved. Okay, and that's what it's all about. You need to get involved with this and pitch your questions. Okay, and tell them, Steve.
I do. We need all these people coming in, give us ideas, people who they want on the show, and then we can go out there and actually ask them, which is all we do most of the time. We just say, "Would you come on?"
Mm.
Quite often they will.
Yeah, all I say is yes. If they say no, they say no. It's entirely up to them. But as I say, it's
like what, Joe? Can we do certain shouts?
Like.
Give us a clue.
Give us a clue. Give us a clue. What's she putting on Facebook? Yeah, and we also need some more people in the chat room because
we need more teams to come on as well.
We need, yeah, and we do need the team to come on, and we, as I say, we do need more people in the chat room. We did have quite a few, but they seem to dwindle a bit. I wonder why. But 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 don't forget, if you do have a particular interest in the area of paranormal, the supernatural or other strange phenomena that you would like us to cover, then please feel free to let us know, and we will try to do it. Or maybe you would like to come on the show, either live or via Skype or telephone, and talk about a related topic for our listeners to give their opinions to. We are always looking for, always seeking guests to join us on our live broadcasts as we focus on a various subjects, including UFO, cryptozoic, or cryptozoology.
Cryptozoic.
I like that word, cryptozoic. Conspiracy theories and other mysteries. We welcome every paranormal investigator and enthusiasts alike, including hobbyists, scientists and psychic mediums, plus showcasing other paranormal groups and organisations from around the globe, engaging in friendly discussions and interact with our listeners in a fun and relaxed environment, encouraging you to share information, advice and most importantly friendship. So if you're interested, then please contact us at admin@ktpf.gov.uk. We will arrange your spot on the show. And remember that the whole point is for you to get involved, as we invite you to join in the discussions and investigations. Sorry, not investigations. The interviews. Wrong thing.
Can you check? Like, there's no picture.
With our special guests, accepting live calls.
You might not be able to do that with pictures frozen.
I don't know why it's frozen. What happened there?
Doc said it was a phone bill.
So basically, as I say, if you do want to come on the show, then that's what it's all about. Don't be shy. Give us a try, and we just ask you to keep the paranormal friendly. Until next time. Good night and God bless.
God bless.
Night.
You're in the right place. Online, on the web, and on air. All over the world.
And now, here's a word from our sponsor.
Be honest. Right now, you probably want to lose some weight, live a healthier, more active lifestyle, or get in better shape. We're here to challenge you. Challenge you to make your health a priority with the new Body by Vi 90-Day Challenge.
My favorite thing about the challenge was just losing the weight. Got my life back, that's it.
I come home now, go out and play in the yard with the kids, go to the gym, take the kids to the gym, and starting to live life finally.
Now we've gone from being couch potatoes to being, fit athletes, working out, strength training every single day. It's changed our whole lifestyle, the way that we look at our day.
Let's be real. You don't have to look far to see we have a problem, a growing problem. With today's work demands and faster paced lifestyle driving us toward quick fixes, it's no secret how we got here. And if you're like most who have searched for a solution, you've only found more frustration. Instead of forcing you to adapt your lifestyle to fit a program, the Body by Vi Challenge adopted our program to fit your lifestyle. Finally, something that's simple, affordable, fun, tastes amazing, and most importantly, it works. The Body by Vi Challenge is the solution you've been searching for. The challenge is the world's #1 90-day platform for weight loss and fitness results. To date, over 500 million Visalis shakes have been served to millions of people who have already lost millions of pounds, making the challenge the fastest growing weight loss and fitness movement in the world today. Powered by a line of innovative wellness products from Visalis, the Body by Vi Challenge is the perfect way to start a lasting health transformation. First, you set a goal. Then, select a kit and enter to win. It's that easy. And in a minute, you'll learn how you can even get your kit for free. Let's talk about your goal. If you were to set a 90-day health goal right now, what would it be? Lose some weight? Shed some inches? Run a 5K? Build some muscle? Whatever it is, it all starts with you going public with your challenge goal. Then, you'll select one of 5 challenge kits designed to help you accomplish your goal. The centerpiece of each kit is the Vi-shaped shake. With a scientifically proven formula, thousands of healthy and delicious ways to mix it up, the Vi Shake is easy, affordable, and tastes amazing. And since it's a healthy meal replacement, the challenge can actually save you money on your eating out and grocery bills.
Challenge kits are so simple, convenient, easy for a person to take, and it gives them all the nutrients they need to keep their body functioning at the peak performance level.
You can have even more fun and nearly triple your chance of success when you do it with others. That's why Visalis created the 3 for Free program. That helps you get your kit for free when you refer 3 others to take the challenge with you. Last year, over 400,000 free kits were awarded to people on the challenge. Do you want your kit for free?
The 3 for Free program just allows anybody, no matter what circumstances they are, to get their product for free and get healthy at the same time.
I absolutely love the idea that we can get our products for free if we just ask 3 people.
And new in 2013, it gets even better. Having helped millions find success, we're so confident that we've added a new 90-day money-back results guarantee. Save money. Get it for free. Money-back guarantee. You've got absolutely nothing to lose. But wait, need more reasons? How about 47 million more? Last year alone, we gave away over $47 million worth of free product, prizes, and vacations for people on the challenge. And now with the new Body by Vi challenge, there are even more ways to win, with bigger weekly, monthly, and grand prizes. After studying millions of challenge transformations, we believe that the secret to your success lies in losing the first 10 pounds. That's why we've launched Project 10, where every week in 2013, we're awarding a total of $10,000 to 10 people who lose 10 pounds. Just document your challenge and submit for a chance to be one of 5 men and women selected every week to win $1,000 in cash. What would you do with an extra $1,000? Plus, since everyone who loses on the challenge really wins, lose 10 pounds and rock your free I Lost It t-shirt. How soon will you be saying, I lost it? Every month, those judged to have the best 90-day weight loss, active, and fitness results win and are named Body by Vi Challenge finalists. Feel like a celebrity with your professional photo shoot at Vi Gear shopping spree to show off your success and move on to the finals for a chance at being the next Body by Vi champion. 3 times a year, Visalis celebrates the most inspiring 90-day weight loss, active, and fitness transformations by crowning our new Body by Vi champions.
Absolutely amazing. We want this for everybody, so commit, submit, you never know. You fill that thing out and you can win. This is amazing. Our lives are going to change.
Experience the Vi life when the red carpet is rolled out for all champions on the ultimate transformation vacation. And while it's great to be treated like an A-lister just for transforming your health, let's not forget the $5,000 Beverly Hills wardrobe shopping spree. You could be the next Body by Vi champion.
It's been just amazing, getting picked up by a private driver and the goodie bags and the schedule and the feeding and the dresses. It's just been amazing.
It's exciting to know that when you set that goal, as long as you challenge yourself, you're going to get there.
And by simply selecting a kit, you have access to all the resources you need to succeed. Take the challenge, and you'll realize it's not just about what you have to lose, but what you have to gain. So, set your goal, select your kit, enter to win. Talk to the person who showed you this video to learn more or to be invited to a challenge party near you. There is no better time than now to start making your health a priority. So why not start losing weight, getting fit, saving money, and having fun, guaranteed. Are you up for the new Body by Vi challenge?
The one phone call that I made to try to join the challenge to lose weight has changed every aspect of our life.